right, here's what's for dinner. It's a sugar fasting day. We got like, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 10 mangoes. May not eat all this, but definitely really close. Sorry, the camera's wobbling. Papaya, probably do about half of that. And some of these really good, nice gold kiwis. Gold kiwis way better than the green ones, in my opinion. So a lot of people are talking a lot about the sugar diet and its benefits. It's getting a lot of people really pissed off because it's very contrary to what most people believe about fat loss and calories and what's possible with being able to burn a lot of fat while eating a ton of food, particularly carbs, simple carbs, that is. The fructose in fruit is actually what kind of makes the magic happen. You don't want to be eating just a bunch of starch, which is like in rice or most vegetables. There's a lot of glucose in vegetables, that is. Some veggies are starchy, some are not. But the fructose in fruit is really what activates the metabolic rate. It switches on FGF21 and a couple other hormonal signals that make your body believe that it's in somewhat of a protein deficient state, obviously, because you're restricting protein during a sugar fast. And FGF21, which is also activated in a proper keto paradigm, but I digress, can also be activated by MCT oil, but particularly fructose activates FGF21. And this is a key player in how people are eating so many calories coming from sugar and also burning a shit ton of body fat. Now, there's a lot of people that make a lot of money online off of the calories in, calories out paradigm. And it's very not only triggering for them, because again, it goes against everything that they either still hold to be true or that they just make a lot of money off of you believing to be true. And the fact is that you don't have to consciously put yourself in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat, nor do you have to, eat such calorie dilute foods like a shit ton of salad and nothing but vegetables to then, inadvertently put yourself into a calorie deficit to lose body fat. Again, you can eat until you're completely disinterested in food with this approach and still lose a lot of weight. And a lot of people are leaning, in my opinion, a little bit too heavy on the candy. And I think that candy and certain, that can be helpful when your gut is not used to processing this amount of soluble fiber. But same as any diet switch, your gut gets used to it. I've been eating this way on and off for about 10 years, and my gut can handle a lot of fruit. And I'm gonna eat like 2 huge bowls of nothing but fruit, no protein powder, no nut butters, no yogurt, nothing but fruit. Maybe a little jelly in there too. And some dates. dates of fruit. But this is gonna be my dinner. And I have found, because I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of fasting, a lot of low calorie dieting, a lot of calorie counting, and changing up macros and tracking macros and counting calories and just being a slave to MyFitnessPal. And really it just makes you pretty neurotic and develop a lot of unhealthy belief systems and behavioral patterns around your food. And what's cool about the sugar diet is that it does a really cool thing with regulating your hunger drive and your appetite. A lot of people think that you're just going to start craving a ton of sugar. And while for some people who are maybe coming from a keto, carnivore, very low carb approach, the first time that they kind of let themselves off the leash and allow themselves to eat carbs, yeah, they're going to crave them, because the body is going to kind of light up and be like, oh shit, we'd rather not go without these in perpetuity again. And so, those people might, be a little bit more kind of in a feeding frenzy, I guess, to start. But when you consume a lot of sugar, again, mostly from fruit, juices are cool, you're getting a lot of fructose, also sucrose, table sugar. Sucrose is also found in a lot of fruits and vegetables, actual sucrose, glucose and fructose. So what happens when you consume a lot of sugar in the absence of protein and fat, it actually eventually cuts off your desire to eat. You kind of get just like sick of the sweetness, because like at first when I sit down, I like, this is going to be perfect. Like, had a lot of watermelon today. I had a big old thing of orange juice. And, by now, at the end of the day, I'm pretty hungry. I've done quite a bit of cardio today. I lifted this morning. And obviously, going without protein a couple days a week isn't messing up my gains, because the other thing that FGF21 does, and GDF15, some of these hormonal factors that are activated, is that they protect your muscle tissue. And carbs in and of themselves are muscle sparing. So when I'm walking around all day long with my glycogen topped off, and I'm not running on a calorie deficit, my body has no reason to go after my muscle tissue. So, but it is going to be burning a bunch of fat. I'll probably end the day at like maybe 4,000 calories today. And oftentimes that's even a little bit more calories than when I'm eating more mixed foods and lean proteins, more starches and all that. I probably don't, probably more around like 3,000. But I'm going to wake up peeled tomorrow. So carbs are muscle sparing, and in the absence of fat and protein, some pretty cool things happen. Again, this is getting a lot of people really irritated online, because some of the low carb keto zealots are kind of having their worldview very much challenged, and also seeing that maybe a lot of their followers are because they've been pretty stuck after, kind of the honeymoon phase, or maybe even like a longer term stretch of a year, couple years, 3 years of doing a very strict keto or carnivore approach. I'm not saying that you can't get some benefits from those diet paradigms. You absolutely can, and they're way better than the standard American diet. But a lot of people will eventually hit a plateau. They'll hit a stall, and they'll be craving sugar like nobody's business, and their libido will be down, their energy goes down, their gut might not be super happy, and you're pretty intolerant to anything but those limited food choices that you've been eating, and your gut microbiome is a little jacked. So there's going to be an adjustment period, as with any diet switch, but you take it slow, and over time, your gut will adapt. You'll be able to handle more. See how I just scoop this right out of here? This one's a little messed up. Your gut will adapt to being able to handle and process more fruit fiber, and that is what you want. So the cool thing about this diet approach, and again, you know, maybe I shouldn't call it a diet, because a sugar fast is a tool. You don't walk around eating nothing but carbohydrates in perpetuity all day, every day. Now, if you have a pretty significant amount of weight to lose, then I would probably sugar fast more days of the week than you're not sugar fasting, until you really get some momentum and start to get good at sugar fasting. And then your body will kind of naturally tell you how often to work in more sugar diet days, which include lean protein, more starch, vegetables, a little bit more fat. And another thing is, so I'll eat this, and then just eventually I'll be like, I'm done, I'm cool. It doesn't just like send you into a craving frenzy of, I want to eat everything in the house. Now, in the past, when I've done keto and carnivore for a less amount of time, granted, I'll admit that, but keto, I definitely gave a good stretch on that. And then more just like a couple of days intermittently would kind of have like a full carnivore day. Eventually, I was just very unsatisfied. Didn't feel all that good. And eventually, I would just want to go off the rails. Like, a cheat day coming from those approaches can be pretty destructive. You pretty much want like really sweet, you want carbs, but also you're gonna eat a lot of fat too. You're wanting like the super calorie dense shit, and it's like hyper palatable, hyper stimulating. It's kind of a skill that you have to work up to be able to go an entire day and eat an entire meal of like what I'm doing tonight, and it actually be extremely satisfying. So yes, with any new diet switch, there's always going to be a little bit of an adjustment, and there's going to be a skill development with learning how to shop for actually good mangoes. You go to the store and buy some, you think you're going to eat them that night for dinner. You are mistaken. So you have to learn which fruits you really enjoy, and when they're actually really ripe and ready for digestion. You eat a bunch of yellow bananas. They're very starchy. There's some fruits that really, the starchier they are, the harder they are to digest, and they're also not going to give you quite the metabolic spark that fruits that are higher in glucose, fructose and sucrose and whatnot. So I challenge you to let your belief system be challenged, experiment, and prove to yourself by being tight on your sugar days, 0 protein, 0 fat, and prove to yourself that you can eat to satiety until you are done disinterested in food and wake up leaner the next day. It completely changes the game when it comes to weight management, finding your abs, and losing weight and optimizing your body composition without restriction, without putting yourself into a calorie depleted and energy depleted state. Because putting yourself into calorie prison, metabolic prison, really is no way to live. Quality of life just completely goes down, and pretty much all of your markers of vitality will also go down. And that is also reflective in your blood work. So give it a shot. Don't be scared. A lot of people are scared to eat a lot of carbs. And I think it really just completely sabotages people's health goals. And they get so hyper fixated on cutting carbs, counting calories, restricting calories, and then you just have no energy. There's a lot of great benefits to GLP and GIP peptides, tirzepatide, retatrutide. They bring down inflammation. They have a lot of cool effects on the liver and whatnot. But there's so many people getting on these things because they simply don't know how to eat. So that's my spiel for the day. I'm going to finish cutting up the rest of this. I'll send you a little pic of the final product, but it's probably going to be like 2 bowls, and it's going to be good. Bowl number 1, bowl number 2. Last thing that I forgot to come back around and say is eating this way, having a full day of sugar, of fruit, it regulates your appetite. It actually cuts off cravings. And then when you're going back to having a regular day, you don't want to just go eat junk food. You actually just really crave like some nice lean beef and some rice or something rather than a bunch of junk food. So try it, think about it.